Hi friends, Marley here and welcome back to my garden. This is my first time to be doing something in my garden after almost 3 weeks. So I have been on a vacation. I left my garden with a drip irrigation. It has a timer, so it waters my garden for 1 hour each day from 6 to 7 in the morning. Watering is not an issue. The only issue is the weeds because we had a lot of rain while I was gone and the weeds just exploded. I'm gonna show you what my garden looks like now after not being touched by human hands for almost 3 weeks. This is one part of my garden where I planted green beans after harvesting potatoes. I know there are so many weeds. This needs to be cleaned. And then that's the Shasta daisy. The flowers have died off. I'm still trying to figure out what to do with that. As you can see, there's a lot of grass in this area, but behind this grass you'll see some flowers, some marigold and some zinnias, and then over there we have some marigolds as well. Now right here, this marigold has gone a lot bigger. It's not supposed to be in this spot. It was very small before I left, and then they have crowded this area, and as you can see, the peppers have yellow leaves, so that needs to be fixed. My strawberry tower is mostly dead except for the ones on the top that are kind of surviving a little, but I need to clear this up. These are some of the bell peppers. Also, you can see that the leaves are a little bit yellow, so they probably need nitrogen. Now this one here is the original bed of bell peppers. This is the first batch, and as you can see, all those peppers are really big now. I've harvested everything that I could harvest before I left, and these ones were too small before I left, and you can see here, look at this one. Isn't this beautiful? So I will be harvesting some of these bell peppers tonight. We actually have some that have ripened while I was gone. Now this one, there's an issue with it. It fell off. And then this raised bed has strawberries, and then there's a Swiss chard here. It has a couple of ginger. Now those are just weeds behind the ginger. We have a few celery in this bed. Let me show you the celery. Still small. Right here we have this chayote squash that I planted very early in the season, and it has climbed up this arch trellis. And then more on the side, we have more marigold and zinnias. A little sunflower right here with the zinnias around it. Here's another chayote squash. For some reason, this one didn't grow that much. It only goes up to probably 3 feet from the ground. I have pulled some of the strawberries before I left for my vacation, but this one is really thick, so I'm gonna have to renew this. This bed is a 3-year-old strawberry bed, so I'm gonna have to fix that. I have just removed the netting from this raised bed where I planted lettuce and kale and pak choy, so I will be harvesting the pak choy seeds. I'll show you the seed pods. These are pak choy seed pods, and yeah, there's a lot of it in here. More strawberries on this side. All the lettuce plants have bolted. Look at all of these flowers of the lettuce, and there are some volunteer zinnias. More lettuce here. The kale plants are doing good. There's really nothing wrong with them. And then there's the broccoli that we have. Now over here, it's just all weeds taking over the bed. I know I planted some potatoes here and some onions, and they need to be harvested. And then right here we have the 2 totes that were planted with potatoes. Now these potatoes have turned yellow, so they're almost done. These ones in here are still green, so I'll keep them a little bit longer. I will wait for these plants to die off before I harvest them. And then over here we have the oregano. Let's go this way. Banana in a pot. And then right here I have a couple of tomatoes, cherry tomatoes. There's something wrong with this tomatoes. I need to trim this off. There are some fruits that need to be harvested. We've been getting too much rain here lately, and so you can see some of these tomatoes are cracked. And then here we have some Jimmy Nardello peppers, I believe. Look at that. This plant here is a small plant, but it is loaded. It's loaded with peppers. And this one too. There's one that has started turning red right there. But most of the Jimmy Nardello peppers in this batch are still green. And then bell peppers here, if you can see that red one, that's a red bell pepper. It takes forever for a bell pepper to turn red. So I think leaving my garden for a while helps, because I will probably not be able to wait for a long time. I'll probably harvest the bell peppers before they turn red anyway. And then here, oh, yesterday we had a storm. It made this fall again. This is a Philippine lemon. And then over here we have some more onions. This is mint. And then this one is a volunteer purple tomato. It has a couple of good size fruits. Look at that. You can see the purple color here, and when this one is exposed to more sunlight, it should turn more purple. This one is not hooked up to the drip irrigation. That's probably why it's struggling. Now here we see some more of the bell peppers. Now let's turn around. Right here, let's go this way. I know this is crazy. My garden is a mess at this point, but I'm back and I'm ready to work on my garden again. Now this is the red cherry tomato. These are all volunteers here. I think I have 3 rows of volunteer tomatoes. Now this one, and exactly the reason why I wanted the volunteers, because there are some varieties of tomatoes that I want that I ran out of seeds, and then I didn't get to save seeds from last year. This is called purple bumblebee. We have some more purple bumblebees in there. Now one amazing thing is that this wall here of these are string beans. Look at that. They were so tiny when I left, and now they already reached the top of the trellis, and they have started forming flowers. Their flowers are so cool because they look like butterflies. So like each tip will make 2 flowers, so that's gonna be 2 beans. And then when this opens, it looks like a butterfly, which is really cool. We actually have a few little beans right here. Look at that. See, it just came out. And then here's a couple. So from a couple of flowers, and then these 2, there's another tip that came out, and there are 2 flowers, so we get 2 more beans from that. More not potatoes, but tomatoes. More tomatoes here that need help. This one is San Marzano. I know they've fallen over. And then we have here some green beans. These green beans are doing great. Planted late because I don't want them to be ready for picking while I was gone. Now here we have another row of San Marzano tomatoes. Look at that, guys. This one is really huge. They're actually good looking, big tomatoes. There's one on the ground, and then we have a lot right there. This is crazy. Now my beef steak is next. They're yellow. They need fertilizer for sure. Need to be cleaned. They need to be the staking needs to be fixed. I'll just clip them onto the fence on here that I use as a stake, so that's not a problem at all. And then these are the herbs right here. We have a little thyme plant, and then the oregano. This one here is basil. We have a bunch of basil, and then there's a couple of sage plants. We have a small rosemary. That one is the one underneath the dill. Now this dill has gotten so big. This needs to be, no, that's not dill. We're looking at cilantro. That needs to be removed. Now this one is the dill plant right here. That's the flower of the dill plant. And then over here we have the lemongrass. It's this one, the big one. The grass around it needs to go. We have the asparagus. The asparagus plants have grown bigger. And then we have a very cool thing in here that's going on. Let's move on to the side of my chicken coop and look at this huge volunteer cherry tomato. It is loaded with ripe fruits. Look at that, guys. See that? It goes down here underneath the plant. Look at this amazing volunteer tomatoes. And this is really sweet too. See, I'm gonna scoot a little bit backward so you can see how big the plant is. It has fallen over because of the storms, but still surviving. Wow, I am just so amazed with this one. Here we're on the back of the garden and we're looking at the corn. The corn plants are doing great. I can see some corn ears forming, and they're so healthy actually. So I've heard at one time that all this corn fell in the ground when we had a lot of rain, but corn tries to get up. They did a good job. This is also the garden that I showed you in the modified Three Sisters garden I said. And the Christmas lima beans are actually growing now, and they have started grabbing into the corn plants. So that's a good thing. And then the only thing I need to work on would be this part here, the watermelon patch, because they're supposed to run underneath the corn. Unfortunately, they're going to a different direction, so that needs to be fixed. And then we have some okras here. So this area just needs to be cleaned. Lots of okras. And then let's turn around. This is bitter melon. So we have a few bitter melon here, right there. And one amazing thing, I showed you this one at one time. This is sunflower, probably at least 8 feet tall. And look at this huge sunflower head. I'll show you my hand. That's my hand. Let's see, that's my hand, and that's the sunflower head. I'm going to show you again that sunflower head whenever I'm ready to harvest it. Now here we have some more volunteer tomatoes growing with the grape plant. The grape plant has gotten really big. It looks healthy too. There were a lot of June bugs in it, but I don't see any on this plant right now, which is a good thing. Here's another smaller volunteer sunflower. Now right here we have the weedy rows of peanuts. That's okay. Now this one is mostly Roma tomatoes. Earlier I've harvested a few of the Roma tomatoes, which I will show you here in a little bit. Now this one is round, so I don't think this is Roma. It does not look like Roma at all. It looks like beef steak. So there must have been a mix-up. This one right here, I found out that this drip line going to this row of tomatoes is not working well. That's probably why these plants are getting blossom end rot. That's okay though. I just need to clean this up, fix it, and add another irrigation line. And then we have some potatoes here, more peppers on this side, and then this one are eggplants. It is so amazing, very interesting to see how fast the weeds can grow. Like all these weeds were gone. It was so clean before I left. More eggplants and peppers right there. And then let's walk over here. This is my daughter's tomato. My daughter and my son are having a tomato growing challenge, and look at this amazing San Marzano tomatoes from my daughter's plant. This plant is loaded. They're not ripe yet, but it is showing amazing fruits, and they're so perfect, no blossom end rot that I can see right now. So I hope this will continue being healthy. And then we have some moringa. So this is one of the moringa trees that I've planted. It has gotten big already. More volunteer zinnias right here, red and pink. And then behind the pink zinnia, this one is my son's tomato for their tomato growing challenge. And here underneath all of the leaves, you can see a lot of ripe cherry tomatoes. He actually started growing this at school. He was in pre-K 3, so he will be in pre-K 4 next year, and he's very interested in growing plants. Now over here, a while ago, I harvested a few of the red cherry tomatoes. These are all volunteers, and there are still some that you can see underneath that need to be harvested, and it's getting dark already. So I will see what I can do in terms of harvesting. Hopefully tomorrow I can do more. I'm just having struggles with my sleep schedule because of jet lag. So right here we have some more tomatoes. There are actually potatoes in here. All of them are dead, so they need to be harvested. As you can see, we have more ripe tomatoes that need to be harvested behind all of these weeds. And then there's one volunteer watermelon. I let it grow. I was thinking of getting probably 1 or 2 vines, but while I was gone, well, the watermelon decided to run towards the grass. So it's now growing on top of the grass, so I'm gonna need to trim this out. Now this one right here, it was hot today. Look at that, but you can see where it was watered. Another bed of green beans and purple beans right here for canning. This is where I harvested the garlic. And then this one here is where I planted the onions. Half of this is still full of onions. But now you can see it's full of weeds, so that needs to be cleaned. More volunteer zinnias here, really very beautiful, guys. And then right here we have the sweet potatoes. The sweet potato plants have exploded, like it has gotten towards the blueberries. And in this I thought were tomato plants, but I realize now that one of them is actually tomatillos. So we're gonna keep that. Let's go around this side here because I can walk out without stepping on a lot of weeds. Just more flowers, blueberry, and then the other blueberry, that one has turned yellow. I need to do something about that. This is the tote where I planted the orange sweet potato. Not looking as good as the ones that are planted in the ground. And this one is called the mortgage lifter tomatoes. Look at how big this one is, guys. Look at that. See, that's a huge tomato right there. And then yeah, we have some in here. The Kustrali tomatoes are not producing that much yet. I wonder if they produced while I was gone and was eaten by the animals. I'm not sure, but yeah, these are the mortgage lifter tomatoes. They're big. There's one Kustrali here that got separated because it didn't fit. This one is good size actually. See that? So yeah, that's what we have in here. And here's a couple of Kustrali that are also good size. There's a little damage on it, probably from the tomato hornworms. But this is all I have right now. I just need to do some cleaning, weeding, harvesting, and then I'm gonna give you an update whenever I'm done cleaning this garden. So that's gonna be all for today. Thank you for watching, and I'm gonna see you in my next video. Have a great day!